The US LLC is an amazing structure to consider for all kinds of different people when you're looking at setting up offshore companies or offshore structures and things like that, whether it's from the 0% tax benefits you get in the US if you are a non-US resident, to getting access to US banking, to the low maintenance or the reputation or what have you. But there is one issue that non-US residents, or this video is specifically targeted at non-US residents, one issue that these people have had for a long time is that it can take quite a while, potentially up to months, for you to actually go from registering this LLC to having it fully operational because of one particular step that takes a long time, specifically for non-US residents, and that is getting the employer identification number for your company, or the EIN as we'll refer to it in this video. And unfortunately, the EIN number is required for pretty much everything from banking to payment processing. So essentially, before you get this number, you're gonna actually have your company operational. But in this video, I'm gonna give you a step-by-step process on how you can set up your US LLC and have your EIN within as little as 3 days. In some cases, it can be up to like 5 business days, but in most cases, it's going to be in 3 business days. You're going to have your company as well as your EIN, so you can set up your banking, your payment processing, whatever, and have your LLC fully operational as a non-US resident. So let's dive into it. And before we start with the steps, if you're looking for help on setting up your US LLC, including doing all the required filings for it, because there's a lot of big IRS fines you're going to get if you don't do this properly, you can check the first link down below in the description for GenZone, where we now do this in-house for a much better price than you'll find with pretty much any other agent. And specifically, if you use our service, we are going to be able to get your EIN number in as little as 3 to 5 business days. So everything that I'm going to describe is just going to be done for you if you use that service, but obviously you don't have to do that if you don't want to. With that said, let's first briefly go over how do you in general set up a US LLC as a non-US resident. And the first step is going to be that you have to choose a state. Usually this is going to be Wyoming because of the fact that they don't have a state income taxes. They have a lot of good privacy, like asset protection laws that a lot of business owners like. And the state filing fees as well as the renewal fees are very low at $100. There's many other options out there. There's Delaware that's often used for my startup companies, etc. But usually you're going to be using Wyoming. That is what I personally use as well. Second step is you need to figure out if you're going to set up a single member or a multi-member LLC, as well as who are going to be the owners of the LLC. And by the way, the LLC can be owned by individuals or companies, and this is something that most service providers don't know how to do. Like when they ask for the filing information after you pay them, it would just have the option of having a regular individual as the owner. They just don't know how to set up an LLC with a company owner. So if you use our service at GenZone, we absolutely know how to make it owned by a company or an individual or multiple companies or whatever structure you are interested in. The third step is to get your registered agent as well as your US mailing address. These are requirements for non-US residents. You need a registered agent that is like a registered filing agent that's going to officially file this LLC for you, and you need to have a mailing address in the US. Now, you don't need to have an office address, nothing like that. You just need to have a mailing address in the United States. You can find these online as a service, which you might use, or you can just use an all-in-one service like GenZone, which is obviously going to include all of this in the package itself. Step number 4 is to file the LLC with the state. So you can do this online at the website of whatever state you have chosen. You're going to have to pay the filing fee, and then your LLC is going to be registered in usually around 48 hours, but this can depend on the state. Again, Wyoming is going to be one of the faster ones, which is another reason to use them. And then after that, we get to the crucial step, which is to get your EIN number, your employer identification number, which is where this process will stall in most cases with most service providers. So why is it that the EIN usually takes so long to get? Well, that is because of the simple requirement that if you're a non-US resident, as in you don't have a US social security number, you cannot register your EIN number online with the IRS like you could as a US resident. You need to fax them Form SS before. You just need to fill this form manually and fax it to the IRS, and then the IRS needs to fax you back this document that has your employer identification number. It can take anywhere from 8 weeks in the best case to like 11 weeks in the worst case, and in my particular case, because I was doing it in a busy season, it took even longer than that. However, there is a workaround which we have specifically found at Genzo, and that is that what we are able to do, and most of his providers simply will not be able to do this. Maybe there's someone else who also knows how to do this, but we know how to do this. What we are able to do is get the PDF of the fax letter that has your EIN number before the actual document arrives. Because crucially, your EIN itself is actually issued very quickly. Like, it takes anywhere between 3 to 5 days, sometimes even less than that, for the actual number to be issued. But for some reason, the only way to get it is through this fax that will come back. But the number is already there. So what we can do is within 3 days, absolute maximum 5 business days, we will get you a PDF that has your EIN number on it, which you can then use to set up your bank account, to set up your Stripe account, and essentially have your entire LLC fully operational without actually needing to wait for this real document to arrive. And of course, once it arrives, we will also give that to you. So I hope that is helpful to someone, because I know that this is a real issue that a lot of people want to have their business up and running very quickly face. And I've never seen a service that does it as fast as we do at the Genzo. So if you're interested in setting up your LLC, having everything handled for you, as well as having all of your annual filings handled for you with the IRS, as well as the state and everything else you need, as well as having all of this be done in as little as 3 business days, you can click the first link down below in the description, and we would be happy to do this for you. With that said though, there is a second big issue that a lot of non-US resident founders have with their US LLC, which is banking. A lot of US bank accounts are being frozen by banks like Mercury, which is the bank that I use and that I recommend. However, if you just do things right, you don't have to worry about this, because there's actually just 3 things that you need to keep in mind to make sure that you actually maintain your US bank accounts. So if you're considering running a US LLC, or you already run a US LLC, I highly recommend you watch this video, because it will tell you the things that you need to know on how to not have your LLC bank account frozen, because you do not want that to happen. You do not want to end up with no banking with your LLC. So if you watch that video, you can avoid that. So watch that video next, and I will see you in the next one.